Thanks for joining us in Finding God in the World of Video Games. And we're here to talk about Sony finally pulling back the curtain on their PlayStation 5 home gaming system. It was a big reveal this week. We got to see this new sleek, sculpted, futuristic design of the PlayStation 5, which is going to stand in stark contrast to the Microsoft's Xbox Series X, which has kind of a monolithic PC gaming tower / refrigerator kind of look to it. Sony's obviously making form as important as function this time around. In last generation, you couldn't really say much about the visual appeal of either the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox. They were embedded into your home console system. You couldn't tell the difference between them, a Blu-ray player. This time around, it's going to be very different. The PlayStation 5 is definitely going to stand out. Whether that's something that you want or not, I guess we'll find out whenever these consoles come out. But the one thing we can definitely say, it is an eye-catching system. The controller, it does kind of look like a PlayStation 4 controller decided to put some Avengers in-game armor on. And the console itself still kind of looks like a really fancy wireless router. But the one thing you have to say about the PlayStation 5, when you look at it, it is clearly here to make a visual statement.
Now, we still have a lot of questions like, when will it come out? How much will it cost? What will we be able to play during its launch?
Will the controller be able to handle the Cheeto stains? Because it is a very wide controller. Hopefully it's going to hold up to... Sometimes I dip mine in soup. Hopefully. Well, I'm sure they'll do 1,000 different colors. That's kind of Sony's way. But while we're waiting for those answers, we do have a lot to digest. The console itself is going to come out in two different formats, a disk drive-based format, what we've all been accustomed to, and a diskless, fully digital system. But I'm glad that the physical media is still going to be viable for those of us that prefer that as an option this console generation. Additionally, the entire first-party accessory line is getting a full makeover to match the PlayStation 5's aesthetic. New controller charging dock, media remote, headset, new camera, all which is going to unfortunately add to that unknown price point when we finally do pick this up. And then most importantly, we got to see some games. And there's some heavy hitters already on deck, like the eagerly awaited sequel to a game that I really enjoy, Horizon Zero Dawn, and a new Spider-Man game. This one is going to be set in the Miles Morales timeline.
Yes, now Sony has definitely broken the mold visually with their new console, and we will see if they can dominate this console generation once again with their superior first-party content. But if I'm being honest, this could be the ugliest console known to man, and it will still find a home in our entertainment center as long as the gaming experience can stack up to the high standards Sony established with the PS4.
And sure, obviously the PlayStation 5, the design of it is intended to stand out from the crowd, and it's making for some fun internet memes, but at the end of the day, this war will be won or lost by what it does, not by how it's dressed up. And honestly, that's one of the things I really like about Spider-Man 2, speaking of that game coming out. The suit is not what makes Miles Morales a hero. It's his actions. The mask and the suit that he chooses to wear are merely a symbol of what lives in his heart, the desire to use these unique gifts that he was given to help and to save others. Miles would still be that same Spider-Man if he was just running around in a t-shirt and jeans. But he wouldn't be a hero if he didn't actually act on his beliefs and use his gifts to the benefit of those he comes across in his day-to-day life. Actually, the worst thing I could think that he could possibly do would be to possess the knowledge of how to save people and the ability to help them, but to do nothing more than look like a hero while the world around him collapses.
As followers of Christ in a world that needs us to live out our beliefs, now more than ever, we have to step up to the call for help. This is not the time to put our heads down, stick our hands in our pockets, and wait for someone else to help. Jesus called us the salt and light of the earth for a reason.
That's right. In Matthew chapter 5, we see Jesus saying, "You are the salt of the earth. The salt loses its flavor. How shall it be seasoned? It's good for nothing but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. You're also the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand. And it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Both salt and light are metaphors on multiple levels, but for today we're going to focus on the most obvious. Salt is a food additive typically, and it can make even the most vile foods like green beans palatable. And I really hate green beans. But perhaps its most interesting characteristic is that in the proper measurements, it can be used as either an ingredient in a sweet pastry dough or as a complement to a savory meat dish. Sometimes it exists for flavor, and other times it's a chemical agent that adds and supports the baking process. But regardless of its utilization, it has the function of improving a dish without becoming the featured attraction.
Nobody wants to eat a spoonful of salt with French fries on top. Nobody. But a dash of salt on French fries is simply the way it was meant to be. And in the same way, light exists to enable us to see what we could not see otherwise. The light itself is not the focal point. Rather, it illuminates everything and enables the world around us to be enjoyed.
A coffee table in the dark is an incredibly unpleasant experience, especially for one's toes. But when featured under an appropriate light source, a coffee table is a welcome addition to your living room, and it's able to serve its actual purpose, which typically does not involve attacking toes. And both salt and light, when they're serving in their proper roles, have the power to safely light the way and, in the proper context, add a welcome flavor to any situation. I know this won't be a popular statement, but it's time for us to address a very tough truth. If we don't like the world around us, then there's really only one place as believers we can point the finger. If the room is unsafe, it is not because the coffee table suddenly became carnivorous for toes. It's because the light is not doing its job. If the world around us seems to have lost its flavor, whose fault do you think it is? We're the ones, as believers, who have the mission to seek and save a world that is lost. And we have a calling to be a light in the dark places. If we want to see any kind of change, we cannot simply sit back and wait for the world to build a better lampstand for us. Jesus didn't tell us to wait until they come to us for help. In Matthew 28, in the Great Commission, he told us to go.
The world is in the state it is in because we, as the collective body of Christ, have missed multiple opportunities to proactively answer the call. In a world struggling with unity, we have to be honest and ask ourselves, is the church really any different?
I would have to say no. For far too long, as a church, we've existed in isolation, and we have left a world that is in need of salt and light to find a way to enact the changes that are needed without us. And then we have the audacity to be surprised by the resulting chaos that has ensued. So what do? Are we, the earthbound body of Christ, doomed to be just a stylish architectural statement that eventually fades into irrelevancy right when we were needed the most? Or do we have the substance of salt and light that this world needs right now to make a difference on whatever battleground we have been given? We have to be the light in every place we are and stand up for those who need us, whether that's online in our social media, whether that's in our workplaces, in whatever unique circles of influence we possess, or if you're just simply standing in line at the grocery store and you see or hear something that shouldn't happen. Anytime we see an opportunity, we are commanded to be the light.
We live in heavy times right now. And it is time that we shine the light of Christ that this world is looking for. Light doesn't yell at the darkness or complain about it. It replaces the darkness by illuminating it.
We have to stop talking and actually be the hands of Christ in every situation we can. God has not lost control of anything. He is waiting for his church to take his call seriously and surround each and every person we meet with his love, his understanding, and his compassion. The Jesus that this world most wants to see is the one that is actively living inside of us.